Hare Krishna. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We want to welcome you to the Prabhupada Disciples Association Sunday morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. Before we get started, I wanted to extend a happy birthday to Kanta Prabhu in Trinidad. Today is his 67th birthday. And in Haribo Jiva Gosvāmī Prabhu, in celebration of his birthday, he's holding a program where he's inviting his friends and family and people interested in Krishna consciousness to his house. And he's going to be broadcasting the class this morning for them. So there'll be a large attendance there at his house, having the Prabhupada Disciples Association class on Krishna consciousness, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And they'll be having, so this is a very wonderful advancement for himself and the people in Trinidad and for our association, where other people are also doing the same thing. They're assembling people. I see here, we have Vijaya Pandit has a group of people attending the class as well in Italy and all throughout the world. Our mission of establishing Prabhupada as the Founder-Ācārya and the living incarnation of the message of Lord Chaitanya. We've been reading the pastimes of Śrīla Prabhupada and his arrival in New York on September 19th, 1965. And it's been very enlightening to hear about his, what we could say, extraordinary journey from India to America to carry out the instructions of his spiritual master, which is the heart and soul of the pure devotee. In other words, there is a principle, a very important principle followed by anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness, and that principle is to follow in the footsteps of the pure devotee of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. This, it's very interesting using the term footstep. The Jiva Goswami, the footstep, it's an exact imprint. Even in the criminal world or in the legal world, they take an imprint of the footprint if they're looking for the criminal. They can find him by the imprint of his shoe. So following in the footstep, it means exactly the imprint, not just sort of imprint, but exact imprint. So Prabhupada's instructions to us are the imprint. We follow in the imprint, in the footsteps of the pure devotee. And that is the focus of the Prabhupada Disciples Association. So I'm going to read something. Prabhupada has arrived in New York, and he's operating a store front called the Matchless Gifts. And so here it talks about him being at the matchless gifts. It's at page 106. In the quiet times after visitors had left and the door to matchless gifts was closed for the night, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda chanted on his beads, rested a few hours, and rose again by 2 o'clock in the morning to resume his writing. Someday, he hoped to open a publishing operation as his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had done. The big mridanga. For the new people, mridanga is the drum. So beating the drum, he was seeing that by distributing the transcendental literature of Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, he could reach far and wide with these literatures. Bhaktisiddhanta had probably called the Gaudiya Mat's 4 printing operations, since clay mridangas could only be heard for a mile or two while books could reach the far corners of the globe. Exactly. From his printing workshops in Calcutta, Krishna Nagar, Mayapur, and Cuttack, the erudite Bhaktisiddhanta had produced a library of scriptural commentaries in addition to weekly newspapers in English, Bengali, Oriya, and Assamese. One of the newspapers, the Nadia Prakash, was published daily. An astonished politician asked him how was it possible to publish a newspaper about God every day. This planet, Bhaktisiddhanta replied, is one of innumerable planets in the universe. This universe is only one among an unlimited number of universes in the material creation. The material creation itself is only 1/4 of the kingdom of God. On this one insignificant planet, there are so many cities. For each city, there are dozens of newspapers. Not so many now. If people are capable of filling so many papers with mundane news from the minuscule planet, imagine how much more there is to say about the eternal realm. Why only daily? Every second, we could publish another newspaper about Krishna. It was an early morning summer in New York, 7,000 miles away in Krishna's village. It was closer to midday. A scorching wind called Lu would be keeping Brajabasis, the residents of Braja Vrindavan, indoors. Brajabasis had improvised an ingenious evaporation system for staying cool. They covered their windows with screen and fragrant kusha grass, used simple water pumps to keep the screens damp, and the Lu did the rest. So here we're seeing the importance of Prabhupada's books as directed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, following in the footsteps of the pure devotee, his spiritual master. And specifically with our group, we make sure that we carry on with that tradition of reading the unedited, authorized literature that Prabhupada created while he was present on this planet with us personally, and we're using those books, which are very important in as the law books of mankind belong in our study of Krishna Consciousness together in the Prabhupada Disciples Association. Venkat, could you please bring forward the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers, and we'll continue on with the program. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada, all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasoda-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Radha Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances. 1. To the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being. 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Then 4. To Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Ridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil. And thus, loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Today we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are reading from the original 1962 New Delhi edition, from Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 3. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam adhyatma deepam atititirsatam tamondam samsarinam karunaya aha puranam guhyam tam vyasasunam upayami gurum muninam yaha he who swanubhavam self-assimilated experience akila all around shruti Vedas, Saram Cream, Ekam, the only one, Adhyatma, transcendental, Deepam, torchlight, Atitirashatam, desiring to overcome, Tamondam, deeply dark material existence, Samsarinam, of the materialistic men, Karunaya, out of causeless mercy, Aha, said, Puranam, supplementary to the Vedas, Gushyam, very confidential, Tam, unto him, Vyasa Sunam, the son of Vyasadeva, Upayami, let me obeisances, Gurum, spiritual master, Muninam, of the great sages. Translation by His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who is this confidential supplement of the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated the same by experience. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. In this prayer of Sutta Goswami, practically the complete introduction of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is summarized. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the supplementary natural commendation of the Vedanta Sutras. Vedanta Sutras, or the Brahma Sutras, were compiled by Vyasadeva just to present a cream of all Vedic knowledge. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the natural commendation of the same cream. Śrīla Śukadeva, materialistic man, however great he may be, even on the position of a Brahma, down to the insignificant creature like the ant, cannot be happy. Everyone is trying for himself to make a permanent plan for happiness, but is becoming baffled in the next moment, because that is the law of material energy. Therefore, the materialistic world is the darkest region of God's creation. The unhappy materialistic man can get out of it simply for desiring to get out of it. Unfortunately, they are so foolish that they do not wish to get out of it. They are there compared with the camel. The camel relishes thorny twigs, although thorns cut its tongue, and there is discharge of blood within the mouth. The fact is that the camel tastes its own blood emanating out of the cuts by the thorny creepers, but the camel relishes the thorns because it becomes tasteful, being mixed up with his own blood. Similarly, the camel and ass-like materialists not wish to get out of it, even though he is always harassed by his own material creations. Such materialist is called the karmis. Out of such crores of karmis, only a few may try to get out of the hurdle. And such intelligent persons are called jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is meant for such jnanis. But Śrīla Vyasadeva, as he is the incarnation of power of the Supreme Lord, could foresee the misuse of the Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men. And therefore, he personally made a commentation of the Vedanta Sutra in the shape of the Bhagavat Puranam. It is clearly said that this Bhagavat is the original commentation of the Brahma Sutras. Not only that, Śrīla Vyasadeva instructed the same to his own son, Śrīla Śukadeva Goswāmī, who was already on the liberated stage of transcendence. Śrīla Śukadeva Goswāmī realized it personally and then explained it. By the mercy of Śrīla Śukadeva Goswāmī, the Bhagavat Vedanta Sutra has become as easy for all those sincere souls who want to get out of the material existence. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the only one unrivaled commentation of the Vedanta Sutra. Sripad Shankaracharya intentionally did not touch it because he knew it well that it would be difficult for him to surpass the natural commentation. He made his Sharirak Bhashya, and his so-called followers deprecated the Bhagavatam as something new presentation. One should not therefore be misled by such propaganda of the Mayavada school against the Bhagavatam. The sincere student may know it from this introductory shloka that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the only one transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramahamsas and completely freed from the material disease called by the name. The Mayavadis are envious of the personality of Godhead in spite of Sripad Shankaracharya's admission that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is above the material creation. The envious may access in the Bhagavatam, but those who are really anxious for getting out of this material existence may take shelter of this Bhagavatam because it is uttered by such liberated personality as Śrīla Śukadeva Gosvāmī. It is the transcendental torchlight through which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahma, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto Śrīla Prabhupāda, our spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the paragraph. In the Sutta Goswami, practically the complete introduction of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is summarized. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the supplementary natural commentation of the Vedanta Sutras. All classes of Vedic followers, both the Vaishnavas and the Advaitins, they all follow the Vedic system. They all make commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. The primary commentaries are those of Shankaracharya, the Shariraka Bhashya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya with his Sri Bhashya, and also there is the Parijata Bhashya of the Nimbarka Sampradaya, and then we also have the commentary of Baladi Vidyabhushana Govinda Bhashya with the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Now, all of these various commentaries on Vedanta Sutra, in the age of Kali Yuga, it is difficult to understand. People in general are not very much interested in Vedanta Sutra. They are bewildered by so many different pursuits of sense gratification. And it is also not easy to acquire the necessary qualifications to study Vedanta Sutra. It requires Sanskrit training. It requires training in logic, training in grammar, extensive knowledge of different Upanishads. It's not so easy in this age for people to study Vedanta Sutras. Sutranam, in the Garuda, it is described that this Vedanta Sutra, the natural purport, the natural explanation of the Vedanta Sutra is given in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is cited in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this presentation by Śrīla Prabhupāda, this systematic presentation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is very important. This is a very, very detailed presentation of the science of God, how to understand who is God, what are his qualities, what are his activities, what is his incarnations, where is his planet, where is the kingdom of God, how to get there, how to practice influence of the modes of material nature and go back home, back to Godhead. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many recommendations that if one thinks of Krishna, if one engages in the service of Lord Krishna, and think of Krishna at the time of death, one goes back to Krishna. Yadgatva nanivartante, that at the end of life, tadhama paramama, one reaches the abode, the planet of God, Goloka Vrindavana or Vaikuntha. So this particular presentation here is very important. Prabhupada is explaining that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam cream of the Vedas, Śrīla Gosvāmī, a thoroughly past master of art on the Vedanta Sutra, and as such, he personally realized the commentation on the Vedanta Sutra under the heading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this is quite significant. We have seen in the first chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in the first few verses, that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahaprabhu of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Vyasadeva is considered an incarnation of Krishna to compile, to divide the Vedas, the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, these four Vedas. In the beginning, previously there was only one Veda. Then they were divided into four Vedas with different professors of transcendental science. And this transcendental knowledge of the Vedas is explained in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So those who are serious about spiritual advancement, they should carefully read and study the Śrīmad. Master saw me as a great fool. Guru more murka, you see, he saw me as a great incompetent fool. And he just said to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Because we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedeshta sarver aham eva vidyam, Vedanta krid vedahid, that the purpose of Vedanta is to know Krishna. The purpose of study of Vedic knowledge is to understand the absolute truth, Krishna. So this is a very important point. Otherwise, one can engage his whole life in studying different grammatical combinations, studying all the Upanishads. But we see in the Brahma Samhita, Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto, that to understand the Vedas is not so easy. It is very difficult. But adurlabam atma bhakto, for those who are serious devotees of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, it is not difficult. If one hears the message of Bhagavatam in bona fide disciplic succession, then one can understand the position of Lord Krishna. Then one can understand the position of bhakti. What is that bhakti? the proper path of bhakti. So this is quite significant. We'll read a text here from a lecture of Śrīla Prabhupāda in London, England on August 24, 1971. London, England on August 24, 1971, where Prabhupada is on this same verse. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam adhyatma deepam matititirsatam tamondam samsarinam karunaya purana guhyam tam vyasa sunam upayami gurum muninam. So yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam. Akila means entire. Read the word meanings. Pradyumna leads synonyms recitation. Pradyumna, translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this Purana, supplement to the Vedas, the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience. Prabhupada. So these are the qualifications of the spiritual master. What is that? Swanubhavam, must assimilate personally. Swanubhavam akila shruti saram. Shruti, the Vedas are called shruti, absolute knowledge. It has to be learned by hearing, not by speculation. Shruti. Tad vijnanartam sagurumeva bhigachet shrotriyam. Mundaka Upanishad 1-12. From Shruti, the Shrotriya comes. So he is offering respect to Śukadeva Gosvāmī because he has assimilated the whole Vedic knowledge. Shruti Sara. What is that Sara? Sara means essence. Respect to Śukadeva Gosvāmī. What is the ultimate goal of knowledge? Essence of knowledge. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. Vedeshta sarver ahameva vidyaha. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. The real purpose of Vedic knowledge is to search out where is Krishna. So Śukadeva Gosvāmī assimilated the Vedic knowledge and he was after Krishna. Although he was liberated soul, still he was after Krishna. To become liberated is not the final stage. Liberated means one who understands that he is not this material body. He is liberated. But that much knowledge is not sufficient. One must act according to that. Just like one is cured of the feverish condition. One was suffering some fever. Now there's no fever. That is nice. But that is called convalescent stage. In the convalescent stage, if we do not take care nicely, again, the fever may be relapsed. That is the marginal stage. We must come this side or that side. So even if we are liberated, if we are not engaged in the activities of liberation, then we are to be considered on the marginal stage. And marginal stage means we may fall down in this material condition. Ahuya krichrena parampadam tata patantiado anadrita yushbadangrayaha. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:2-32. Haruya krichrena. Krichrena means with great difficulty. The philosophers, they try to understand the absolute truth by mental speculation. But simply by mental speculation, you cannot stay in that understanding. Or in other words, by theoretical knowledge, you cannot escape. It must be practiced. Practice. So this is quite significant, the way that Śrīla Prabhupāda is explaining the meaning of this particular verse. We see also in another lecture in London, England, on August 24th, 1971, London, England, on August 24th, 1971. So what Krishna says, the Bhagavat also says the same thing. Bhagavata begins, Param Satyam Dhimahi. The Supreme, I offer my respects to the Supreme. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Vasudev. Vasudev means Krishna. Sum samsarinam karunayaha purana guhyam. Purana. Purana means sometimes the Mayavadis, they say these Puranas are stories. No, they're not stories. It comes from the Purana. Purana means filling up, supplementary, to complete it. Puranas, they're not out of the Vedic. They're all belonging to the Vedic literatures, especially Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is called Mahapurana. They're from Mahapurana. Why Mahapurana? Purana Guhyam, very confidential Purana. There are Sattvika Purana, Rajasika Purana, Tamasika Purana. 3 kinds of Puranas. So the aim is to take the leader on the liberation platform. But according to the quality, in the Tamasika Purana, there are recommendations for Goddess Kali and other. In Rajasika Purana, there is recommendation for yajna, or worshipping the demigods in the heavenly planet, Indra, Chandra. But in the Sattvika Purana, only about Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, is recommended to be worshipped. So this is called Purana Guhyam, because in this Purana, you won't find any recommendation for worshipping any other demigod. Simply Satyam Param Dhimahi, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Only the absolute, Satyam Param, the ultimate absolute truth, Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Guhyam. He first of all spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to being compassionate to the people suffering from these material pangs. Tam Vyasa Sunamupayami Gurum Muninam. Gurum Muninam is not only my guru, but he is guru, spiritual master of great sages and saintly persons. Even Vyasadeva also considered his son greater than himself. When Śukadeva Gosvāmī appeared in the assembly where many saintly persons were present at the time of Maharaj Parikshit. So at the time, all the munis stood up to receive him. All the munis. Even there was Vyasadeva. He also stood up. Therefore, he is Guru Muni, the purport. So Śrīla Prabhupāda is explaining very nicely the exalted position of Śukadeva Goswami. So we see here that Sutta Goswami is preaching all the great sages at Naimisharanya. And when he starts his answer to the 6 questions that were raised in the first chapter of the first canto, now we're dealing with the second chapter. And in order to explain all of this in text number 2, text number 3, he his obeisances to this great personality, Sutta Goswami, Śukadeva Goswami. So this is quite significant. Another very important point here is what Prabhupada described, that materialistic man cannot be happy. We see in Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna himself is explaining Dukkalayam Asasvatam, that this material world is a place of suffering and it is temporary. Now, it doesn't take a wizard to figure that out. One simply has to be a little observant, but under the influence of Maya or the illusory energy, people are thinking, oh, I'm very happy. And then they start thinking, I am this body, the bodily possessions are mine, and this is my country, my family, my this, my that. He does not understand that he is simply the eternal servant of God. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Das Kaviraj has very nicely summarized in a very small Bengali verse, what is the position of Krishna or God, and what is our position? Ekal Ishwar Krishna Ar Sabritya. There's only one controller, that is Krishna, God. And all others are Sabritya, all others are his servants. Very important point. Sachidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur, one of our previous acharyas, has nicely described in one of his songs, how do we reconnect with Krishna? He says that one should simply chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, follow Krishna's Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. Aparad Shunya Hoy Loha Krishna Nam. One should take shelter of the name of Krishna, avoiding offenses. So this is a very important point, because we see sometimes there's some class of less intelligent Vaishnavas, less intelligent practitioners under the influence of pratishta. Pratishta means this desire for name, fame, power, position, profit, adoration, distinction. They think that their worship of Krishna and their approach is charyas. And the great saints in the disciplic section, they never think like that. They think I'm the lowest of the low. The author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of his pious activities. If somebody recites my name, he commits sinful activities. With the songs of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, especially the song Gopinath, where Bhaktivedanta Thakur is describing himself just like an ordinary materialistic man. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur is considered a reincarnation of Swarup Damodar Gosvāmī, the intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya. Gora Shakti Swarupaya, very, very confidential devotee who was empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to revive Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But yet he's describing himself just like the most simple, the most sinful, the most ignorant person. Are we to take this literally, that Bhaktivedanta Thakur is a sinful, ignorant person? No, never like that. But these great acharyas, they give these warnings, they give these very great, precious gems of how we're supposed to think, of how we are supposed to behave, of how we are supposed to act. So this is also the mission of Śrīla Prabhupāda, the great representative of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Hare Krishna. Vishwakarma, comment?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for that wonderful explanation of this verse and an understanding of how coma. Prabhupada uses the example of being bitten by a serpent. The poison enters, get out, it needs an antidote, a solution that you get from the physician. And when it's applied, then you wake up. So in the same way, we are in a comatose condition. And Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he says, Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? So here in today's verse, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu has so nicely explained that it is done through the process of hearing, Shrinvatam, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, by hearing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna as inculcated in the pages of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Prabhupada explains so beautifully in this purport that was written in 1962. Just think, everyone. Prabhupada was writing the Bhagavatam explanation for people around the world before he even started his mission in 1965. This is amazing, that he was seeing into the future, that he believed that if he could carry out this mission that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada had given him, then all the conditioned souls surrounding in this universe, in the different parts of the universe, could become blessed by this work. It was interesting to note here on page 102. If Vinkat Prabhu could go to that. On page 102, the sincere student may know it from this introductory sloka that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, now see how the words are typed, is the only one transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramahansas and completely freed from the material disease called by the name malice. So look at how the words are stressed there. Only one. Now in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it's the essence of the Vedic literature. It's the cream. It's the fruit. It is the nectar that's coming from the Srila Vyasadeva. But there are 18,000 verses in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that Prabhupada gave his explanation in the in his translation and purports. 18,000 verses. Now, someone could say, well, that's quite a few verses. Yes, it is, but it's just a small portion of the information that's available in the Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition to get people out of the conditioned state of existence, the comatose position that they are in. One point here. Today, there are so many churches in the Christian faith. Here in Hamilton, Canada, there are hundreds of churches, really. In fact, there are thousands of churches in Ontario. And the problem is they are being shut down because no one is attending. No one is interested for a few reasons. One is that the information that's being given by the particular preachers that are operating these churches is not very detailed. For example, Jesus even said that there was more that he could explain to others, but they weren't ready for it. Moral teachings, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, like that, the simple 10 commandments of Christ, how to conduct yourself morally in this society, how to get along with others, how to be a good person. But do they explain about the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord in all his variegatedness? No. This is contained in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. When I first became a devotee, I was raised as a Roman Catholic. It was very minimize the Bible or its teachings, but all they had was this one book they were preaching in the catechism that they were presenting in the Catholic Church. So when we got, in the early 60s, when we got the Bhagavad Gita, and we want human being has a desire to know in the Vedas, in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, this system is completely explained in detail. I wanted to mention to you all, please, by all means, if you don't have a copy of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is available online, so you can study it there, make it a regular daily habit in your life. Nasta prayeshu abradeshu nityam bhagavata seva, by daily attendance in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. This is the antidote. This is the method to get out of Maya, that you think you're the body, that you think that everything around you, your family and your friends and your money and your car and your house, this is real. It's not real. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wake up. Sleeping souls, you're in a comatose condition. In the Christian religion, are they being explained this? No. Are they able to understand? They get some understanding, they're sincere. But this is an extraordinary opportunity for all of us. Just think about it. And I read it at the beginning. Prabhupada was saying, or we read about Bhaktisiddhanta, that by the transcendental literatures of Śrīmad, with the Bhagavad Gita, with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, with the Nectar of Devotion, and so many other wonderful books, so much information in his Vani incarnation, that it gives us the necessary medicine if we take it every day. If we don't digest the medicine, how can we get better? So Krishna consciousness is a daily practice. It's not just go to church on Sunday and the rest of the week do anything you want. No. This is a daily practice to stay, because Maya is always tempting us, everyone. That's the way it goes. That Maya is testing us. What is Maya? The illusion that I am this body. The illusion that everything around me is mine. I, me, and mine. To get out of this comatose condition, we need to take the medicine, the belief in God that has been there in the human society. God does exist. But if we do not have the proper direction and guidance from a bona fide source, exactly that. And the most amazing thing is your mother has died. But the person that's reading it is thinking, oh, they're all dying, but I won't die. This is the most amazing thing. That death is complete illusion. And it is very unfortunate. We are here specifically to get out of this material world. And we have the proper tools to do that. We have them. Unfortunately, changed the books. They changed his books. They're the law of illusion. This is the process. And then his instructions, as we read it, I'll finish up, as we're reading these books, not only Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and I'm going to encourage everyone here in this association, make sure you have a daily diet of Krishna consciousness through oral reception from the pure devotee, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. No one else. Nobody else. A lot of people, they always approach me, oh, did you read this Purana? Did you read this Bhashya? Did you read this? Oh, I've read all this, these PhD people. Oh, I know this scripture, I know. Prabhupada told us very simply, just read my books. There's a reason why. some people say, oh, Prabhupada didn't present that much information, Venkat, in these books, that there's a higher truth that was presented. This is complete nonsense. The reason you say that is because you never read his books. That's your problem. You read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna is blessing me right now. I'm reading again Chaitanya Charitamrita, mainly because of my age. It's a good journey for me to study it. This Chaitanya Charitamrita contains absolutely the highest truths that are available to the human being. There is nothing greater than Chaitanya Charitamrita. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also. It is actually all these literatures, Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then look, Yaśoda Prabhu is bringing out all these wonderful books on Prabhupada's lectures, on Prabhupada's conversations. We have 37 books of all of his conversations. I have a set here in Hamilton that you can spend all your life reading these things and you'll never get tired. We have a devotee here, Bhakta Joe, here in Hamilton. And we discuss these books constantly together in association with each other. And time I pick up the Gita, Jiva Goswami, every time I pick up the Bhagavatam, every time I read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it always feels read it. It's always fresh. These books are filled with life, transcendental life. Om Jnana Timanandasya, Jnanam Jana Salakaya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, who's forced open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. If we don't read these books, we will not understand what he is trying to teach us, and we will not understand how to move forward and be successful in this human form of life. He would say that about his disciples when he was personally present. Read my books. They're not just for distribution. They're not just for distribution. They're for reading. This is the cure to the material existence that we're now in, is to hear about the glories of Sri Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the lips of the pure devotee A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. This nonsense that we're hearing, that's coming from his movement, that Prabhupada's books the original books shouldn't be read in the temples, is a great offense. This offense against the pure devotee is something that's disqualifying these people, their gurus, so-called gurus and disciples, from entering into the eternal pastimes, the eternal Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, I could carry on. Please, my brother, please comment and we'll move forward with the discussion after that. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
I think these are very important points, because what happens is these new insidious philosophies which have popped up, which have percolated after disobedience it's like a rebellion against the Acharya. It was well known during Prabhupada's manifested presence that he departure in 1977, where there was intimate conversations by Śrīla Prabhupada with many of his leaders, like the late secretary, Hamsadura, Gargamuni, and many others, where he gives very clear warnings about the psychology of the breakup of the Gaudiya Math, many of the leaders in the Gaudiya Math, the whole dispute over properties, and how eventually the whole mission was defeated. In one conversation, Prabhupada is mentioning that a great institution was broken down by whimsical ways. Prabhupada gave so many direct warnings, so many direct instructions. As a matter of fact, the devotee here, Vishwakarma Prabhu, the former president of the Toronto, Canada ISKCON Temple, received a direct letter from Śrīla Prabhupada himself. Basically, in that letter, he was told Vishwakarma that this was meant for all of his disciples. Don't associate with my godbrothers. And now, after 1977, the leaders of our institution went to the architect of the breakup of the Gaudiya Math to get new ideologies on how to structure their. Prabhupada did not set up that system. This system that they invented in 1978 in so-called consultation with the higher authorities, incidentally, many devotees, the first report that the GBC of ISKCON did in 1978, on the 27th of March, 1978, from Mayapur, India, explaining their new initiation system, they say, in consultation with the higher authorities. Did Śrīla Prabhupada ever give us information who were these higher authorities? Which higher authorities are they talking about? Did they figure out that there was some higher authority than Prabhupada in his own movement? They used higher authorities plural. Were they referring to themselves as higher authorities? What is this nonsense, higher authorities? The only higher authorities we have are our previous Acharya, the 6 Gosvāmīs, the Pancha Tattva, the great Mahajan, the previous Acharya. These are higher authorities. If anybody thinks he's become a higher authority than his own guru, he's become a fool number one. Those people that challenge Śrīla Prabhupada's orders for initiation in his own mission, in his own movement, are deluded. They are bewildered. They're in Maya. That's why they went to consult other individuals who were responsible for disobeying the orders of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada and introduced all kinds of nonsense ideas in our movement. They introduced the idea that you put on the uniform of the guru and it's going to tell you what to do. Really? Is that what you got from consultation with higher authorities, which you never defined? Devotees should be very aware of these misleading individuals. It doesn't matter what big titles they have, what big position they have, what big fantastic titles they've given themselves. Don't listen to them. Those who have deviated from Śrīla Prabhupada cannot help us to follow Śrīla Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. So thank you very much for that comment. I wanted to ask our godbrother from Hawaii. I see he's on the Zoom meeting. Das. He served in Vancouver and he's of Spanish descent, Mexican descent, I believe, Prabhu. I wonder if you could contribute. We're going to take questions. Anda Priya has a question coming up, but Andabaya. But we'll ask Janas Priya, our godbrother, to please comment on today's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam discussion. Janas Priya, please.
Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. I didn't really, I was doing something, I didn't really listen to the lecture so much right now, but I could just talk in general, Krishna Consciousness, if that's okay.
Please, go ahead.
So Śrīla Prabhupada, I realized that my latest realization is that Śrīla Prabhupada's most important mission was his books. ago, this
We're having trouble
next-
with your stream.
10,000 years. He said, my temples might be gone. These things could, so it's so very important for us to fight, preserve these books, put them on every possible media for the future generations. And Prabhupada used everybody to publish these books because that was his main. We distribute his books online and put them in bookstores. And so the greatest gift that we ever received, who knows in how many millions, and try to pursue some material endeavor, thinking, oh, well, if I get some money, then I could be a devotee, but now I need to work and blah, blah, blah. So we really need to concentrate in distributing these books. That's my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I wanted to comment just quickly before we move to questions and comments further. It's very important for everyone to understand that we have to work together. This is one of the problems of the modern situation that we're in, is that everyone has become isolated on their own. There is very little strength in an individual effort. In other words, Prabhupada used the example of bamboo sticks. When you take one bamboo stick, you can easily break it, he would explain. But when you bundle the bamboo stick together, 5, it becomes a great weapon. You beat someone with 5 bounded sticks and it'll break them. 1 stick, it will break, but 5 sticks will not break. So it is our goal at the Prabhupada Disciples Association to work together, and not only work together amongst ourselves, but help others come together with us so we develop a Sankirtan army. Yes, this is a mission. We're not simply having class here for the sake of listening to each other discuss philosophy. No, we are here to come together under the banner of the Sankirtan mission of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Be clear. We're not stopping. We're moving forward. And we need people to think like this. I'm so pleased with Kanta Prabhu in Trinidad. I know all of us are excited. And other devotees throughout the world that are now attending these classes, putting up big screens, letting people come over to their residence, like in Italy today. I can see the table there with all the people surrounded at the table. It's absolutely, it brings tears to my eyes to see this. How this, through the blessings of the Vaishnavas that are coming together in this group, the Prabhupada Disciples Association. We're here for a specific mission, and it is for book distribution. I'm not going to bring it up right now, but we're also working with the BBT, the original BBT. Right now, we're finishing all of the books, all the original books. We've already got the Bhagavad Gita completed in the original forms that Prabhupada had registered in Washington under copyright laws. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is almost completed. So all the books right now are with us. We can move forward with great strength if as Prabhu was mentioning about book distribution, yes, serving these books as we all sit here. I haven't discussed it, but this is the reality of this. This is not a small thing. This is a very big move. Under the blessings of Hansaduta, who was a friend of mine, who signed over the rights to the BBT to one of the members from the Hamilton Center here, Abhimanyu. We have all the documents. So we're moving forward on many levels. And I wanted to ask Andabaya, she has a comment or a question. We always like to hear from her, and her husband, our godbrother Jiva Goswami Prabhu. Mataji, please. Oh, and there's your cat
Hare
there.
Krishna. Yeah, Jagannath. Thank you for such a very enlightening class, you guys. I was just wanting to make a comment about some post somebody made on Facebook today, and it's a friend of mine, so I read it. He made this big post that there are people out there, devotees out there, who are trying to make a big Prabhupada cult and only talk about Prabhupada. And I just found it very funny that a devotee in the ISKCON movement would say such a thing, that it's like it's something bad to make a Prabhupada cult, and that we should, be staunch followers of His Divine Grace. So I know a lot of people were just like stunned by it, and I haven't yet responded to him, but there was somebody that reminded him who was the Founder-Ācārya of ISKCON, and I haven't seen his response yet. It was just before this started. But anyway, that's the state of Facebook sometimes.
Yes. Well, I wanted to say that this is very disappointing when we hear this. Yesterday, Mataji from India, Dr. Pooja, made some very interesting comments about how people in the ISKCON group now restrict people that are Prabhupada disciples from coming to the temple. And she was saying that she would have to lie in order to get on the property. This is absolutely a sad state of affairs for the Sankirtan mission. When Prabhupada said, you'll demonstrate your love by how you work together cooperatively to spread the mission. So instead of everybody working, there's hardly any devotees on this planet. Look in America nowadays. How many people are in the temples? You go to New Orleans, I see the morning arti, because we watch the media. There's 3 people in the kirtan and a pujari on the altar. The temples are being operated by hired help. There's salaries. They're paying people now to work in the temples in North America. How is this movement expanding? It's not expanding. Now the so-called gurus, they're putting out motivational talks. Hey, Jiva Goswami Prabhu, they put out these motivational talks. They're not following the footsteps of Śrīla Prabhupāda. They're not repeating his words. They're thinking that we're some kind of archaic mistake. This is unfortunate. And this is why we've restarted the movement. We have restarted this movement. And no one should doubt that. And I'm so proud of everyone here on this talk. And I'm saying that Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda is the bona fide guru, and he lives in his Vani incarnation with all of us. Jiva Goswami, please make your comment. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for this amazing gathering and inspiration. I wanted to make two comments. First of all, regarding the verse today,
Yes.
I wanted to comment on the fact that Śukadeva Goswami was an experienced devotee. He was a liberated devotee, and he had the amazing ability to incorporate and assimilate all of the teachings from his father, and then he presented the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam after he was liberated. This is the goal of so many people, to be liberated. Well, he was there, but he knew there was much more, and he incorporated everything before he spoke the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And the other thing I want to say is that be inspired. My eldest brother, Dean, who is 82 years old, is reading Śrīla Prabhupāda's unedited Bhagavad. Is like, enough said. I thought it would never happen. He was the preacher in my family. My father was a minister, as you know. My grandfather was a minister. 5 generations of Christian ministers. Dean was in that succession, and he is now reading Śrīla Prabhupāda's Bhagavad Gita and asking me questions about the meaning of life.
Fantastic. Prabhus, I have to make a sad announcement. We've reached 11:31 here in Eastern Standard Time here in Canada on the East Coast. And it's come to, now we're going to enter into the kirtan. I wanted to say this, that yesterday's program, after the class was over, because I know all of you have schedules and items that you have to do, and we respect that, and we appreciate so much that you're here with us for this hour and a half. We're going to carry on after the kirtan, Prabhupada's beautiful kirtan, and playing the bongos in New York City there, before he even had the mridanga. He made things happen with whatever he had. That's what we should do. Prabhupada proved it by his example. He may not have had a mridanga at that time, so he used a bongo drum, and he played the bongos, and everyone, even the Beatles, got the recording, and they liked it, even without the mridanga. So, but after the class is over, we're going to stay on for Istagosti. This is all kinds of matters, like when Dr. Puja yesterday, our Mataji from India, brought up these topics. It was very interesting and enlivening for everyone to hear that. And so subsequently, we've decided to add Istagosti after the class for the 3 classes during the week. And quickly, we are having some special event broadcasts coming up. Special events, they'll be on Thursday evening, and they'll be on different topics related to the changing of the books, the Gaudiya Mat, the Guru Tattva, etc. So you'll be able to attend that. They won't be classes. There are going to be roundtable discussions with a select group of Prabhupada disciples giving information, real information on how Prabhupada wanted the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya to continue after his departure. This is the point. If people don't know, how can they act? You have to know. And if they don't read and study, if they ignore Prabhupada's books, if they ignore his instructions, then how can they possibly understand what he wanted to do? This is the secret of the disciplic succession, following in the footprint, Jiva Goswami. The footprint. It's that simple. Venkat Prabhu, our great devotee from South Bangalore, please, if you could bring on the kirtan for us. We'll enjoy this kirtan, and then we'll stay online. For those that want to stay online, we'll take questions and answers then. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the assembled devotees. Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha
Yo Namo Namaha.
Namo Namaha.
Vijay Pandit ji, Vijay Pandit, come va?
Va benissimo.